Welcome to the stream, guys. FPL FOMO, Evening All FPL is almost back. Yeah, I usually have a Q&A the night before the deadline, but since it's the international break, it's been so long, so I thought one extra stream ahead of game week 4. So 2.5 days. So I have this countdown timer, but it wasn't enough hours in it to make sense, so I just put 2.5 days. I'm really excited ahead of game week 4. Terrible start in game week 1, but I had green arrows in game week 2, game week 3, so I'm really looking forward to game week 4, to be honest. So should I move Bruno to someone else and Dorgu 2 free transfers and 0 in the bank? So I still think that Bruno Fernandes is a decent pick, even though Man United have a tough fixture in game week 4. So I don't necessarily think that Bruno Fernandes is a sell, and Dorgu, if you can keep him on the bench, is only 4.5. So if you have another player to put in your starting 11, I think Dorgu is a keep at the moment, especially if you don't have any other injuries. I think that having 3 free transfers could be really valuable, to be honest. Edwix, rate my team. Calm voice, man. Thanks. I think you've said this before. So if you're interested in having your team rated, just head over to X and post a picture of your team under my latest posts. Let's have a quick look. Let's update. I sent my team there. Brilliant. I just got it up on the screen. Decent game week for Edwix in game week 3, 66 points. Definitely most probably a green arrow if you were not in the top 10k. I think this is definitely a green arrow. So the triple Chelsea defense differential. I love it. Sanchez, Cucurella and Tossin. Nico Williams, I had him myself. You picked the right Man United midfielders. I actually only had Cunha. Remember we discussing this team ahead of game week 3 with the triple ups. You had actually 3 triple ups, but the Burnley boys on the bench. So triple Chelsea defense. Could say that the triple United midfield was a success as well, even though Cunha got injured. Haaland, Watkins, Gyökeres. So this could have been a huge haul. Watkins, decent pick for game week 3. Gyökeres as well. Haaland, of course, 9 points. He was my captain. The only player I don't really fancy in this team is actually Reinders. I know he did well in game week 1, but I don't think that he will be a reliable pick going forward. Of course, I may have to eat those words, but a solid game week. So this is probably your team selection. Top 16k currently. Thinking about this free hit. Let me know what you think. So top 16k. Really good start to the season for Edwix. Let's have a look at this team. Just put it in center. I don't think I'm able to fit your bench in with this format. Let's see if I can just have a look at the team itself. You're starting 11th, so this is a free hit team for Edwix. Top 16k currently, so free hit can potentially get you inside the top 10k. That would be great. So let's have a quick look. Leno, he is in goal. Decent fixture, double up from the Fulham defense by having Anderson as well. I really like him this game week. Leeds, they have actually been vulnerable. They have been decent defensively, but on set pieces, they can concede. So a double up on the Fulham defense and the Crystal Palace defense as well. Munoz, Lacroix, so 4 good defenders in this team with really good fixtures. Mo Salah, the safest captain option. If I were 16k at the moment, I think I would probably go Mo Salah myself. And King, 4.5 midfielder, should have had a goal, but it got disallowed. So I think that he is a good option for game week 4, considering the fixture. Wirtz is in as well. I actually like Wirtz. I know that he has not impressed us so far, but I have Sar injured, so I'm actually considering to bring Wirtz back into my team. Reinders is in, as mentioned, when we took a look at your Game Week 3 team. Not my favorite Man City option, but I maybe proved wrong. Mateta, Gyökeres and Haaland. So this is a really good team considering you have both Mo Salah and Erling Haaland. Of course, the enabler King, he is really good value. So I actually think that this team will do well in game week 4, and hopefully you'll get another green arrow, and hopefully on the next stream ahead of game week 5 you will be in the top 10k. So seeing this is a free team, the bench, it's not that important. I think those guys in your starting 11 definitely will start, but you have Gonzalez, double defense from Burnley, and Dubravka. So I really like this team, of course, having King in the starting 11 and Reinders. I would like to take some other punts in midfield, but seeing you have both Haaland and Mo Salah, I think this is close to as good as it gets, to be honest. So it will be really interesting to see how Nottingham Forest will line up. So it was a bit surprising that Nuno got sacked from Forest, to be honest. Who do you think instead of Reinders? Kind of depends how much you have in the bank with that team. Reinders, he is like 5.7, something like that. I think on, especially on a free hit, I would potentially take a punt on someone like Paqueta, considering the ownership. Sandre, hi, my team ID is 113026. Do you think I have to wildcard? Can you have a look? 113026. let's have a look. So this is Sandre's team. 35 points, so not the best game week in game week 3. You had Sanchez, both Sanchez. Microphone off. I'm really annoyed about this microphone problem. Not sure how to fix it. But I was just discussing your team. I think it's a good team, to be honest. So I don't really think that this team needs a wildcard, to be honest. Of course, Aina, he might be injured, and Watkins has not delivered so far. Chris Wood has a tough fixture, so I can see the temptation going for a wildcard, but I think that if Aina is injured, you can get away with just selling him ahead of game week 4, potentially bringing in someone from Crystal Palace, potentially Fulham as well. Maybe someone like Anderson, or if you want to spend a bit more, you can upgrade to Munoz. So if you wildcarded, you would potentially keep a couple of those players, right? Kudus is a really good option for game week 4. Mo Salah, you will probably captain him. Gyökeres is a really good option at the moment on penalties for Arsenal. You have Estev, still a decent bench option. Xhaka as well, only 5 million. You have Dubravka in. Barnes will potentially start in game week 4 unless we get some news about Barnes. I think that he will start. You have Pedro Porro, Sanchez, good goalkeeper still. And I still think that Van Dijk is a good option. So I'm not sure if this team really needs a wildcard, to be honest, but I can see the temptation. Chris Wood with a tough fixture, Watkins, 3 consecutive blanks. My plan is Konsa to Munoz. I've read something about Aina being injured, but if Aina is fine, I think that Konsa to Munoz is a really good transfer for this team ahead of game week 4. So think I would potentially just save the wildcard, to be honest, with this team. And go ahead with your plan, Konsa to Munoz. But as mentioned, have a look at Aina and see if he is injured. The thing is that Sandre, you had a tough game week 3. Was it like only 35 points, something like that? I can see the temptation of going for a wild card, but it's not like your team is terrible. I think you have a lot of decent picks in there and they might come good for game week 4. So I think I would just keep patience and bring in Munoz. Okay, so let's have a look at this team. Let's have a quick look. So it's Sanchez in goal. I have to do this to have the bench in the picture. So also this team, it's Atarva Chavan posted his team over at X. So if you're interested in having your team reviewed, just head over to X and post a picture of your team. Atarva Chavan, he posted his team. So let's have a quick look. So this team has Sanchez in goal. Richards in defense, really good picture. Pedro Porro as well. Dorgu. In midfield, Kyrgios, Anderson, Reinders, Mo Salah, Bruno Fernandes, Haaland, and Mateta. So Atarva, he asked if I would consider selling both Bruno Fernandes and Dorgu. I'm not really sure if Bruno Fernandes is a sell at the moment. I know it doesn't really look good on paper playing away against Man City, but I still think that Bruno Fernandes is a decent option. So if Man United score against Man City, I think that Bruno most probably will be involved. So we know that he's still on most set pieces and he's definitely on penalties for Man United, even though he missed one so far this season. So I think this team looks good. You have Mo Salah in already. I think that I potentially would sell Dorgu. We saw this in preseason as well. He did really well in the games he started, but I don't think that he's 100% nailed. So with this team, I would consider selling Dorgu to someone like maybe probably Anderson. That's the same price as well, 4.5. Dorgu to Munoz is of course another option. Dorgu to Munoz is an option, but 0 in the bank. I need funds. And this is why Bruno Fernandes is a potential sell. So my advice would be to just keep Bruno Fernandes. I said this a couple of times already. If you really, really want Munoz, There's no easy way to get minnows with this team without selling someone like Bruno. So I think my advice to avoid the hit would probably to do something like Dorgu to Anderson, the Fulham centre back. Really good fixture this game week, playing at home against Leeds, and he is a threat at set pieces, and he can pick up defensive contribution points as well. So another option, if you really want to double up on the Crystal Palace defense, is to actually sell Nico Williams and bring in Lacroix. I know that Nottingham Forest, this is probably not the best idea, because Nottingham Forest, they have good fixtures in game week 5 and game week 6. So my advice with this team would be to sell Dorgu and bring in Anderson. Of course, I can see the temptation of going for Gakpo, so Bruno Fernandes to Gakpo, that would free up 1.5 or 1.4. But my problem at the moment with Gakpo, I know that he did well for the Netherlands in this international break as well. But the thing is that I think that Alexander Isak definitely at some point will start week in, week out. I can't really see Ekitike being benched, so they will start Mo Salah left. They will have Alexander Isak as number 9, and I think that Ekitike will play as well. So I can't really see where Gakpo will fit into this team. So I think there will be rotation going forward. So Gakpo, of course, he has been a really good option ever since Luis Diaz left, but after the signing of Alexander Isak, I don't really see Gakpo as a safe option anymore. So Bruno Fernandes, a 90 minutes man on penalties for Man United, selling him to get Gakpo at the moment. I don't actually think this is a good idea, to be honest. Virat, he mentioned the head-to-head league. If you're interested, go join the head-to-head league. The code is down on the scrolling text. So if you're interested, please go join that one as well. I have a lot of entries in my classic league. I haven't really spoken that much about the head-to-head league, but if you're interested, go join that one. FPL Lisa, hi, thanks for joining in. Appreciate the help, love from India. No worries, hopefully you'll get a green arrow in game week 4. I think this team is really good. I would love to have Mateta myself. I kind of regret going for Chris Wood on my game week 3 wildcard, to be honest. I would love to have Mateta for game week 4. I think he will do well against Sunderland. So this is FPL FOMO's team. Let's have a look. This is a wildcard team waiting on Palmer news. Yeah, I have seen a couple of your wildcard drafts over at X. I think this is the best I can do. So we have to take a look at the bench first. So this is FPL FOMO's team, going for a 4 at the back with Senesi, Tarkovsky, and a double up with Munoz and Lacroix. Captaincy, Munoz. Of course, I think that Munoz is a really, really good option. I'm not sure at this point if I would captain him, but of course, seeing you don't have Mo Salah or Erling Haaland. I think you said before FPL FOMO that you're going for a season without Salah and Haaland, right? So I think Munoz actually is a really good punt for game week 4, and hopefully this will pay off. Raya in goal, SA and Gyökeres show a triple up on Arsenal. I really like Evan Nilsson as well. Last time I checked, he was only selected by 2.5%, something like that. So he is actually a big differential. Semenyo is in as well. So another triple up from Bournemouth. Joe Pedro, safe option at the moment. I like the inclusion of SA. I think that he potentially can be a really good asset going forward. I think that from game week 7, we all will have SA in our teams, to be honest. So a strong team. Let's have a look at the bench. I couldn't fit it into the pictures, but on the bench, Dubravka, Paqueta, Chalobah, and Cole Palmer. So this is a really good team, to be honest, seeing you have Cole Palmer on the bench as well. Of course, there will be some benching headaches when Cole Palmer is back fit, considering you have a really strong defense and you have 8 strong attackers as well. But I really like it, and with this setup you can easily play your bench boost whenever you want, to be honest. So Sandre, is FPL more template now? What do you think? Because you have played for 10 years plus. I think definitely that FPL has become a bit more template, considering that there are a lot more active managers compared to, let's say, 8 to 10 years ago. And I think that information is a lot easier to get these days compared to 8 to 10 years ago. So of course, considering there are some really big YouTube channels like FPL Mate and FPL Harry, Let's Talk FPL with Andy, of course, I think it has become a bit more templates. There are a few managers just copying the big content creators, so I can't really see the fun in that, to be honest. But I also know that there are a lot of people that's really invested in FPL as well, considering they have paid mini leagues and stuff like that. So there are some FPL managers that I don't really think that they enjoy watching the games that much, but they see a potential for earning some extra cash from FPL mini leagues and stuff like that. So they don't really want to do the research and don't really want to watch the games. And I think this definitely drives up the ownership on the most popular players. So at first, when I started playing FPL, it's really tempting to pick the players that's most selected, right? But at the same time, another thing that with information is easier accessible. So there are a lot of accounts that are talking about differentials as well. And this, of course, will expand the player pool as well. So So I know that a lot of people are talking about FPL being template, but it's not like it wasn't template before, to be honest. So the top 10K 10 years ago was pretty template. Sound out. Hopefully it wasn't out for that long. I was just talking about comparing FPL the last couple of seasons to how it was for like 10 seasons ago. So I know a lot are talking about FPL being template today, but it was kind of template, especially among the active managers in the top 10K 10 years ago as well. So like if you went back 10 years, I think that the teams looked pretty similar in the top 10K 10 years ago as well. Sandre, I think teams had more players involved back then. Now we have max 3 to 4 for each team who can get points. Now we have maximum 3 to 4 players from each team who can get points. You might be onto something because not really sure, but like back in the day we had teams with some really interesting picks from Everton, like Leighton Baines taking penalties. We don't really see this that often anymore, to be honest. There are usually the biggest star taking the penalties for most teams. So I think you're onto something that when we consider that each team these days only have some nailed on players, like you mentioned a couple: Nani, Rooney, Giggs, Berbatov, Evra, Valencia, Drogba, Lampard, Malouda, Terry Cole. All of those were really, really good FPL options back in the day. So you're probably right. I haven't really thought about this, but we consider Chelsea at the moment. I think that when it comes to FPL, they have so many players, and these days there are probably more rotation, there are more games played. So I know there were a lot of games 10 years ago as well, but I think that they have increased the game so a player can play like 50 games a season. So there are probably more rotation these days compared to 10 years ago. So you're probably right by saying that each team only have like 3 to 4 good FPL options because of rotation. So I haven't really thought about this. So really good point made by Sandre. So I got a question from Axel Surain: Voltmada or Kulumani? I'm not really sure if any of them are really good picks, to be honest. They haven't really got that many training sessions with their teams because of the international break. So I can see the temptation considering the fixture for Newcastle, but I would probably wait on both of them. I would probably say Visa, to be honest. So this was my game week 3, 52 points, green arrow. Not the best game week. I had actually both Sar and Rodon on the bench, kind of annoying. So if you're interested in having your team discussed, just post a picture under my latest post over on X. We had a look at FPL FOMO, Atarva as well, Edwix. 16 minutes. A new team. Let's get it up on the screen. I told you to play Sar, didn't I? Actually, when he scored that goal, I actually remembered from the stream that you told me to play Sar. It was kind of annoying that Sar scored, to be honest, but of course, for anyone on this stream that owned him, congratulations. My team looked really good, but the midfield really disappointed, so I definitely should have started Sar. I knew about the stats as well. That's another point that kind of annoys me, to be honest. I knew about his stats against Aston Villa, but I couldn't really bench the likes of Kyrgios. I had Rodgers as well, that I at some point considered dropping on the bench to play Sar, but yeah, ended up benching Sar and he scored. Got injured as well. Really annoying. Out 6 to 8 weeks, so I need to sell Sar ahead of game week 4. So let's have a look at this team as well. In goal, Verbruggen, Gabriel, Milenkovic, Ait Nouri in defense. Reinders, Rodgers, Mo Salah captain, Kyrgios, and Semenyo up front, Mateta and Joao Pedro. So on the bench we have Ekitike as well. Is this like a bench boost team? Don't really see the reason why Ekitike is on the bench. Would definitely play Ekitike ahead of Reinders, but let's see. So this is a free hit team, free hit active, bench boost played in game week 2. So my first advice would be to actually just get Ekitike into your starting 11, so you don't forget. I really like Mateta. Joao Pedro is a safe option as well. Mo Salah, of course, the captaincy. He will be the most captain player in game week 4, so I think that captaining Mo Salah, if you own him, makes sense. Kyrgios is a good option. West Ham, they looked terrible in game week 1. Game week 2 looked a bit better in game week 3, of course, but I think Spurs can do well against them. Really hoping that Kyrgios will start, but at least he is in the predicted lineup. So Kyrgios, decent option. Semenyo, of course, great start to the season and a good fixture against Brighton. What I don't like about this free team is that you have Semenyo in your team, but you also have Verbruggen. I would potentially go for another goalkeeper because they will cancel each other out. So if Verbruggen gets a clean sheet, Semenyo will blank. And if Semenyo gets a goal, Verbruggen will not get a clean sheet. So I would potentially pick another goalkeeper if you really want Semenyo. And seeing you have Semenyo as your vice captain, he is probably someone you really want in your free hit team. Reinders would definitely be on my bench. I would play 3-4-3 with this team. I wouldn't necessarily have Milenkovic on a free hit. Tough fixture playing away against Arsenal. I would potentially go for someone like Munoz, to be honest. That would be my changes with this free team. I would pick another goalkeeper. Henderson is a good option for game week 4. I would go for someone else. Milenkovic would probably be Munoz for me. I know it's a bit template, but I think that Munoz is a really good option for game week 4. I actually like Fabian Schär as well if you want a bit more of a differential. I think that Newcastle and Fabian Schär can do well in game week 4, so that's another option. But I would definitely change Milenkovic. Reinders on the bench and Ekitike in your starting 11. And this is starting to look like a really strong team for game week 4. Let's see, Akar Singh. Do you think I transferred Dorgu to Senesi? I have 2 free transfers. My defense, I have Williams, Poro, Estev, Diouf, Dorgu. Or do you have any other suggestions in mind? So let's have a look at this team as well. I think just I'm getting better, but I'm not an expert on the graphics just yet. But I think this is good enough. Ingol, Sanchez, Dorgu in defense, Williams, Pedro Porro, Kyrgios, Salah, Bruno Fernandes, Reinders, Rogers, and up front, Joe Pedro and Watkins. I can't really remember the questions, so I'm really sorry. Do you think I transferred Dorgu to Senesi? I have 2 free transfers. So with this team, 2 free transfers. There are a couple of question marks in this team. A couple of players having really tough fixtures this game week can potentially be a tough game week with Dorgu playing against Man City, Williams against Arsenal. 2 free transfers. I would potentially use a transfer with this team, to be honest. I talked about Dorgu on this stream already. I think that Dorgu actually is a potential sell, to be honest. don't think that he's definitely nailed on to start every game for Man United. So selling Dorgu to someone like Senesi, I think that's a really good idea. Another option is to go for Anderson, the Fulham centre back. I talked about him a couple of times as well. Good fixture, playing at home against Leeds, and I think that Fulham can do well against them. They're really close to the top three for the bookies' predicted clean sheets. Liverpool, they are topping that list for their game away against Burnley. Fulham, I think, I can't really remember. I checked this earlier today. I think they were like 41, something like that. But Liverpool on top, Arsenal, and we have Newcastle for their game against Wolves. So you can see this in the graphics on the right-hand side. Holland is the anytime bookies' favorite for anytime goal scorer. Yeah, Gyökeres and Salah. So strong trio. Salah is third. Let's have a quick look at the captain poll. Mo Salah is the favorite so far, 55%. So who is your game week 4 captain? If you haven't voted, go vote in the poll. 55% picking Mo Salah, 23% for Erling Haaland, and 23% for someone else. I watched the Norway game against Moldova last night, and Erling Haaland, he was just ridiculous in that game. Ødegaard played really well. As I think that he was really close to a 10 as well in that game, even though he only scored 1 goal. Ben Duxbury, what do you think of Estevao? He has less minutes, but insane underlying stats when he plays. I think that he is a really good player, really fun to watch as well, but at the moment I don't really see him as a good FPL option, because what you want from your players is a combination of minutes, plus is of course set pieces, but I think that his minutes is I think it's too much of a risk going for Estevao. I think you will be disappointed, and he will come on for a lot of 1-pointers, especially when Cole Palmer is back. So at Chelsea, they have so many attacking options. So even though he is, as mentioned, a really good player, at the moment, I don't really see him as a good FPL option, to be honest. But to finish off with this team, I think that selling Dorgu to bring in someone like Anderson, Senesi is a really good option as well. And if you want a Crystal Palace defender, you can, of course, go for Richards. That's probably one of the best options ahead of game week 4. Richards, is he 4.6 at the moment? Let's have a look. Richards, still 4.5. Richards, defender from Crystal Palace, nailed on. Really good fixtures. Game week 4 at home against Sunderland. Game week 5 playing against West Ham. Tough fixture in game week 6 against Liverpool, but you can easily just bench Richards for that fixture. So yeah, that would be my top 3 replacements for Dorgu. So I haven't really really good game for Semenyo, of course, but he usually needs a lot of chances to score, so he can be really frustrating. I had him at some point last season as well, and he didn't really do well when I owned him, but great start to the season for Semenyo, and it's probably the easiest move for me this game week to just sell Sar and bring in Semenyo. Other options is of course NGI. He's on set pieces for Everton, including penalties. We knew this before game week 1, but he was on my watch list, but I didn't really go through with it, and he's done well. It's not like he's only relying on set pieces. He has a lot of ways to get goals. I think that NGI is a really good option. The thing that worries me when it comes to NGI is that Everton, they have really tough fixtures going forward. Another option is actually to bring in Wirtz. He's probably one of the biggest disappointments so far, especially when it comes to returns, blanks in the first 3 opening game weeks for Wirtz. Really big expectations considering his stats from the Bundesliga, but I think he'll continue starting, and he is on set pieces for Liverpool as well, taking their corners. So I think that he will get FPL points really soon. The problem is that if I do Sar to Wirtz, I will not have any funds in the bank. I can do Sar to Mbumo, but I don't like the fixture against Man City in game week 4. So of course Grealish, he is the most transferred in, close to 1 million transfers in for Jack Grealish at the moment. Had this in the graphic as well, the top 3 transfers in, and Grealish, he is on top. The most sold player ahead of game week 4 is Cole Palmer. Cunha is second, and Chris Wood is actually third. I can see in the graphic I need to upgrade this before my Q&A on Friday. It says that Chris Wood is playing against Liverpool, and this is not correct. Chris Wood, it's not Liverpool, it's another tough fixture. It's away against Arsenal. So my plan was actually to bench Chris Wood this game week and have him ready for game week 5, but the Cunha injury will probably make me start Chris Wood. Sorry, he will definitely be gone, but I haven't yet decided who will be his replacement. So let's see if there are any more teams. So if you're interested in having your team discussed, head over to X, post a picture under my latest posts, and we'll get it on the screen. So if you haven't done so, please consider giving this stream a like. That's really, really helpful. I think this is how we get even more people to join in. I think it will be visible for more people if you remember to give the stream a like. If you want to support the channel, go watch the Game Week 4 team selection video as well. That's really, really appreciated if you find the time. So let's see, 8 comments. I think it was 8 comments last time I checked as well. FPL FOMO, Edwix, Atarva. Edwix. I think this one is new. Correct me if I'm wrong. Game week 3, 72 points. This is Edwix Game Week 3 Free Hit. I'm really jealous on the Game Week 3 Mbumo and Bruno Fernandes double up in midfield, considering I only had Cunha. Haaland captain Grealish as well. He's done great for Everton, to be honest. As mentioned, the most transferred in player ahead of game week 4. Question from Virat: Elanga or Rodgers? If it's for a free hit, I would definitely go Elanga, but if it's a transfer or a wildcard, I would go Rodgers. I think that Elanga is good to go for game week 4. No sound. I talked about Newcastle attack. A lot of changes after Alexander Isak left to join Liverpool. So they have Visa in, they have Voltmada. So I think that at the moment Elanga is good to go for game week 4 most probably. But at some point I think that he will become a rotation risk. So if it's on a free hit, I think Elanga is a really good option. But if it's a free transfer or a wildcard, I think that Rodgers is the best option. The thing with Rodgers is that, he has not impressed so far this season. And Aston Villa, they have been disappointing, but we know that Rodgers will start. He will play close to 90 minutes week in, week out. So Rodgers is a decent option, even though he's not on set pieces. He will play in that attacking midfield spot for Aston Villa behind Watkins. So at some point, I think that Rodgers will do really well. Got an assist for England as well. So maybe this is a sign that Rodgers will start picking up FPL points as well. Jill Smith, no audio. Okay, it's fixed. Yeah, I have a kind of a really annoying problem with my microphone. I'm not sure if it's a microphone or if it's just the cable, the USB cable. So I had this for a couple of weeks now. It's like I'm not even touching my microphone or the USB cable, but at some point after like 10 to 15 minutes, my microphone all of a sudden gets muted. Really, really annoying, of course. I really need to fix this because every time I get muted, I can see the total amount of viewers always dropping a bit as well. So I can see why. It's a bit annoying, of course, for both me and the viewers as well. Will you play some other game of football? Will you play some other game of football? Do you mean like some other fantasy formats like the Champions League fantasy game or Championship, the EFL fantasy game? So there are a lot of interesting fantasy formats, to be honest. And on my timeline on X, I can see that a lot of managers are posting about the UCL fantasy, the EFL fantasy, and even the Norwegian League fantasy. But at the moment, I'm not playing those games. I spent a lot of time on the Club World Cup, the FIFA Club World Cup this summer, and I will play the World Cup game in the summer as well. I have tried the Champions League game for a couple of seasons, to be honest, but my favorite fantasy game is definitely FPL, and especially after starting making videos about FPL, I don't really have the time to spend that much time on other fantasy games. So I think that if I start making content about the UCL game as well, I think it's better to like focus on FPL and do good quality content about one game rather than playing two games and actually ending up having too little time to make good content. So Gilles, what Liverpool players will you get in for game week 4? So this is a really good question. It kind of depends if it's for a free hit or if it's a transfer or a wildcard. So Gakpo, really good value. He has been great so far this season, coming in at 7.5, starting every game and playing close to 90 minutes every game week. So Gakpo, really tempting option, but on free hits, I would definitely go Gakpo. But if it's a transfer or a wildcard, I would actually avoid Gakpo this game week. The reason is that I think that at some point Alexander Isak will be Liverpool's starting number 9. They don't spend that much money, and I think that Alexander Isak is actually good enough to play up front for Liverpool. The problem is that Ekitike, he is still there. He's done well so far this season as well, so I think that he will start as well. So I think that he potentially can move out left, and this will make Gakpo a big rotation risk. So if it's for game week 4, I think Gakpo will start, but if it's a transfer or a wildcard, I would avoid Gakpo. So the safest options for game week 4, if you want Liverpool players, of course, I think Mo Salah is a really good option if you have the funds available. I think Ekitike is a good option as well, Van Dijk and Gakpo. So I made a free hit video, and in that video I actually talked about having Alisson as the goalkeeper. I'm not a big fan of Alisson, to be honest, but if it's just for a free hit, I think that he's a good option, especially for game week 4. And I think that on a free hit, it makes sense to include Mo Salah. He will be the most captain player by far. Probably some will spend their triple captain as well, so his effective ownership will definitely go above 100% in game week 4. So I will not have Salah in my team, as you can see on the screen. I'm going Haaland. He will be my captain. I will sell Sar, he's injured for 6 to 8 weeks, so I'm actually considering bringing Wirtz back in, even though he's disappointed so far. I think that it still is a decent FPL option. Hey man, sending my team, can you give your reviews and suggestions? Let's have a quick look. I'll head over to X and give this an update. So I'll definitely have a look, but at the moment I can't seem to find your team. So if you're interested in a discussion about your team, go over to X and post a picture under this post over there, and I'll get it up on the screen. Have sent, bro. Yeah, I'll give it another refresh. Keep Rogers got 0.5 in the bank. I definitely think Rogers is a keep at the moment. Kind of depends who you're considering to bring in. 0.5 in the bank is not like there are a lot of good options at that price point, to be honest. So I know he's been disappointing so far, but I think Rogers is a keep. Let's have a look. So this is Wish Malotra's team posted on my latest post on X. Keep Rogers if on a wildcard. I'm not sure if Rogers I'm not sure if Rogers would be a main priority on a wildcard, to be honest, but if you're interested, head over to X and post a picture of your current wildcard team and we'll get it up on the screen, just like Wish Malotra just did. And this is his team. Sanchez in goal, Pedro Porro, Van de Ven, same as my team. And you have Richards as well. Really good option, especially for game week 4, considering the fixture. Only priced at 4.5, so Richards a really good option. Reinders, Johnson, Mo Salah captain, and Wirtz in midfield. Watkins up front with Joe Pedro and Chris Wood. I think, to be honest, I just discussed Rogers, and I think that I would go for Rogers in my starting 11 and bench Chris Wood. At the same time, seeing you have Reinders as well, I would probably play Rogers and bench Reinders, I'd say. Milenkovic, fine to bench him this game week, and same goes for Dubravka and Esteve, obviously. So decent team. I would consider benching Reinders and playing Rogers. I know Everton, they are solid defensively, but Rogers, he is a 90 minutes man for Aston Villa, playing in that number 10 spot, just behind Ollie Watkins. So I know it's not tempting to double up on the Aston Villa attack at the moment, considering the first 3 game weeks, but seeing you have Rodgers in your team, I would probably just start him and bench Reinders. I got another question about Rodgers and if he's a keep if you're on a wildcard. I'm not sure. I would probably consider going for someone else, but I think it's hard to pick a Liverpool midfielder at the moment. I just had a discussion about Gakpo. I think on a free hit, Gakpo is a really good option this game week, but if I were to use my free transfers or my wildcard, I would avoid Gakpo. The reason is that I think Alexander Isak will play as their number 9, and this means that Ekitike will move out left. So there will be some rotation among the Liverpool attackers. They have so many good options at the moment. So I think Salah is the most nailed on at the moment. Alexander Isak will become nailed at some point as since when it comes to Gakpo, that even though he has started 3 consecutive games this season, I think that he will become a rotation risk. I'm kind of regretting that I didn't go for Gakpo ahead of game week 1, to be honest. We knew Luis Diaz left Liverpool to join Bayern Munich, so kind of annoyed that I didn't just go Gakpo in game week 1. So I think this team is good for game week 4, good to go. Double Spurs defense against West Ham. Of course, West Ham, they looked a bit better in game week 3 compared to game week 1 and game week 2. Richards, really good option. I'm not a big Reinders fan, so I would potentially consider benching Reinders and playing Rodgers. Let's refresh this. So a new team, Shaka Khan, AFC Gullit. So let me know if you're in the chat. Let's get this a bit more centered. I think this is close to the best view I can get from this format. So in goal we have Pope and we have Dubravka. So Pope would definitely start in game week 4. Really good fixture for Newcastle, playing at home against Wolves, and Dubravka will be on the bench. So in defense, Van Dijk, Gabriel, Lacroix, Truffert, and Gudmundsson. Gakpo, Salah, Rodgers, Semenyo, King, really good enabler at the moment. I like the inclusion of King as well. Watkins up front with Joao Pedro and Mateta. So let's have a look. Did you say that this was a wildcard team, right? I talked about Gakpo on a wildcard. I'm not really sure if he is a good option, if this is a wildcard team. Yes. Wildcard. Let's 0.5 in the bank. So I think that if you really want to triple up on Liverpool, of course, I think it's kind of hard saying this because I think that he is a really good option for game week 4, but I don't see Gakpo. So of course you can't go for this team and have a plan for Gakpo because I think that at some point he will see rotation, but really strong team for game week 4. And let's have a quick look. You will have Dubravka on the bench. You will have Gudmundsson, Truffert, and King. So this is a really strong team for game week 4. Van Dijk, Gabriel, and Lacroix. Gakpo, Salah, Rodgers, Semenyo, and up front Watkins, Joe, Pedro, and Mateta. Can't really fault this team, but I'm not sure if doubling up on Aston Villa on a wildcard is the best idea. They struggle to score goals. They will have a lot of games coming up. So with this team, potentially, if you're interested in, if you're not sure about Rodgers, 0.5. So if you go Evan Nilsson instead of Watkins, this will give you 1.9. So you'll have 2.4 in the bank for upgrades. Any Spurs for Rodgers and Gakpo? My only worry with Spurs at the moment is that there might be some rotation for them as well. At the moment, I actually have Kudus in my team. Did not start in game week 3. Kind of annoying, but I actually think that Kudus is a safe option. But they signed Xavi Simons as well. So there are a couple of question marks considering the Spurs attack at the moment. So Kudus is of course an option. I think that he will start most games for Spurs. Langa is another option, but there are some question marks when it comes to Newcastle as well, considering that they have signed a lot of players as well. So I think that it's kind of a minefield picking players in midfield at the moment. So I think that Rodgers probably is the best option. He is a 90 minutes man. So I really like SA. I'm not sure why I didn't mention him. At the start of this stream, we actually discussed SA, and I think that he is a really good option. So if you're on a wildcard, I would definitely consider getting SA in. Not the best fixtures short term, but from game week 7, we all want to have a couple of Arsenal attackers in our team. So if you keep Watkins, keep Rodgers for now, and those spots can easily be Gyökeres and SA in a couple of game weeks. So another thing to consider, Watkins, Gyökeres. So you actually have Gyökeres in your team at the moment. Gakpo to SA soon, yeah. I think the inclusion of Gakpo is totally fine as long as you know that at some point, of course, I'm not Arne Slot, but it would totally make sense for Slot to play Alexander Isak, considering that he is a great player, and given the amount of cash they spent, I think that Alexander Isak at some point will start for Liverpool, and I don't really see them bench Ekitike as well, so I can't really see where Gakpo will fit into this Liverpool team. I can't really see him play week in, week out, so I think as long as you have a plan, and it looks like you have a really good plan with Gakpo to SA, Watkins to Gyökeres. Of course, on a wildcard, I'm not usually a big fan of planning transfers and locking transfers in, but considering that it's only game week 4, the transfer window recently closed only days ago, so days ago is 10 days ago, but yeah. However, I think this team looks good, and I think that the planned transfers looks really good as well, so I'm okay to bench Gakpo for Trafford in game week 6. Game week 6. Bournemouth playing Leeds, yeah, probably. Talked about Alexander Isak and the fact that he did not play in the first friendly for Sweden on, I can't remember if it was Friday or Thursday. They played against Slovenia. He got some minutes against Bosnia on Monday, was it? Sunday or Monday. Looked surprisingly sharp when he played, but I think that he needed more match practice before starting a Premier League game. I think it's a big risk to start Alexander Isak in game week 4, so I think Gakpo is a really good option this game week. But at some point, Alexander Isak, he will definitely start games for Liverpool, and game week 5 potentially, but definitely game week 6. I think we will see Alexander Isak in their starting 11. So Daniel, nice stream, man. Is it worth hitting to take out Cole Palmer to Semenyo? I think it's a bit weird that we had so little information about Cole Palmer during this international break. We just had a look at FPL FOMO's wildcard team, and he has actually included Cole Palmer in his draft. So I think wait on more news on Cole Palmer, and if the injury is more serious than first expected, I think that having 10.5 on the bench is a bit much. So if Cole Palmer is out for game week 4, I definitely think that selling him for Semenyo is a good option this game week. So wait on more news. I definitely think that Maresca will give us something ahead of the deadline. Thoughts on Newcastle mids? I'm a bit wary when it comes to picking a Newcastle midfielder. We saw this in game week 3 as well. They have some similar options. We saw Barnes, Elanga both benched. So they have a lot of options. They have like a new attack these days after selling Alexander Isak. So They have Koulibaly, they have Voltmade from Germany as well. I saw Voltmade, he actually started the last game for Germany. I have to admit, I haven't really seen that much of him, to be honest, but I watched Koulibaly in the Club World Cup this summer for Juventus, and he looked really good. They have Visa as well, so there are a lot of new players in that Newcastle attack. So I think it's kind of hard to say at the moment. I think we need a couple of more game weeks to like see how they line up, to be honest. So at the moment, I think Elanga is probably the safest option. And I think it's the same story when it comes to midfielders from Spurs as well. Story for Spurs at the moment when it comes to their attack as well. After the injury, the Solanke injury, Richarlison is probably a good option, but we know that at some point Solanke will be back and there will be rotation. And they have Johnson, they have signed Xavi Simons as well. So I think we need a couple of game weeks to like see how they line up to get a grip of how and which players actually are nailed in their teams. It might turn out that no one is actually nailed as long as everyone's fit. So at the moment, I think it's hard picking players from both Newcastle and Spurs. So it's probably a better idea to do something like this team on the screen. This was AFC Gullit, was it, on X? Just going safe by selecting Rodgers. We know that he is a 90 minutes man for Aston Villa. He's playing as a number 10, getting into good positions. Did well for England in this international break as well. So I think Rodgers is a decent option at the moment. Also want Wood in game week 5. Yeah, I actually brought Chris Wood in last game week. Good fixture last game week for Chris Wood. I know we had a Q&A before game week 3 as well, and Chris Wood, he was actually one of the favorites in the captain poll ahead of game week 3, but yeah, he blanked. Really disappointing, but it does not look good for Chris Wood. He's had a game in Australia, so he's probably a bit jet lagged. The last 2 times when he's played in Australia, he started the first game, but actually after the last international break, Chris Wood was actually benched for Nottingham Forest. So I think Chris Wood is a bit of a risk this game week, but if you're able to bring Chris Wood in and bench him this game week and have him ready for game week 5, you can potentially save a transfer, but I don't think this is possible with this team if you only have 0.5 in the bank, seeing you have King as well. I think you should just have Mateta as well. I'm really jealous. Mateta, I think he will do really well in game week 4. Good fixture for Crystal Palace, playing at home against Sunderland. Can't be much better. So I had him as captain. As mentioned, he was actually one of the favorites in the captain poll. Let's have a quick look at the captain poll for this game week. Salah, he is on 59%. Haaland 24%, and others 18%. So Mo Salah, huge risk for my rank this game week, to be honest. I don't have Mo Salah in at the moment, so I'm quite sure his effective ownership will go above 100% for game week 4. I've seen over on X that a lot of FPL managers are actually considering triple captaining Salah this game week as well. So, but the thing is that I watched every Liverpool game so far this season, and I'm not really impressed by Mo Salah, to be honest. Kind of a lucky goal in the dying minutes in game week 1. That was really, really frustrating as a non-Salah owner. And same story. The story repeated itself in game week 2, to be honest, with a bit of an easy assist. I think this was like in the 99th minute, something like that. So yeah, blank in game week 3 for Mo Salah, and hopefully it will be a blank in game week 4 as well. $110th minute, actually. Yeah, you're probably right. It's not like that assist was. It's not like Mo Salah did something great. He just squared the ball. And Noguma, is that how you pronounce it? He did most of the work himself, so. So if you're interested, go join the head-to-head mini league. The code is in the scrolling text at the bottom. Let's see which direction I should point. Already, please subscribe to the channel as well. I will fix the microphone issue, I promise. It's been like this for a couple of weeks now. I'm not really sure what the problem is. It's like the microphone is working just fine, but every 10th, 15th minutes, it just stops working. I'm not really sure why. I'm not touching the microphone nor the cable, so not really sure what's going on. But if you're interested, subscribe to the channel. I usually have a Q&A the night before the deadline. I will have this on Friday as well. And when I find the time, I do deadline streams as well. And if you want to support the channel, go watch my team selection video as well. That would be really, really appreciated. Leave a comment if you find the time, of course. But we really appreciate if you want to join on Friday as well. I will have to make a decision about Sar. Let's get my team back on the screen. We'll have to make a decision on Sar. I need a replacement. He's out 6 to 8 weeks, so I will definitely use a transfer ahead of game week 4. Cunha, I hopefully will get some news about Cunha. My plan was actually to play Cunha this game week and bench Chris Wood. Other than that, I will start Sanchez. Schär, good option, good fixture, playing at home against Wolves. And I will double up on the Spurs defense. Elanga, Kyrgios, I think they are good options short term, but I need to do something about them as well. I just talked about the Newcastle and Spurs midfield. I think they have a lot of options at the moment, so there will potentially be rotation. Rodgers, I have him as well. I think he's a decent option. At least his minutes are safe. Holland will be my captain. I have Chris Wood as mentioned, and Joao Pedro will definitely start. So on my bench, Nico Williams, I will bench him for the tough fixture against Arsenal. Rodon, hopefully he'll be fine. My plan is actually to bench boost in game week 5, but this of course depends on Cunha and Rodon. Dubravka on the bench. No benching headaches for my goalkeepers this game week. So this will be close to my team, but as mentioned, I will sell Sar. My potential replacements, I'm actually considering to bring Wirtz back in. I would like to have Liverpool, one of their attackers, for the good fixture in Game Week 4 against Burnley. So Wirtz, he is actually on my watch list. The easiest, the safest move for my team is potentially to just sell Sar and bring in Semenyo. Could take a punt on Everton midfielder. Grealish is the most transferred in. I like NGI as well, but I don't like the fixtures for Everton. Samip save while using my wildcard. It's throwing me error. Any ideas how to resolve it? So I had this question on my X profile as well. I think that the FPL page has been a bit laggy this evening. I think that probably the easiest solution is just to log out, close the browser, and try to log back in. If you're on a mobile, I think it's just closing the app entirely and try to log back in. I'm not really sure why this is happening. It's like this season, we saw this in preseason as well. There have been some issues with both the FPL app and the FPL site, so hopefully they will fix this. At least this season, we haven't really had any meltdowns close to the deadline. We had this a couple of seasons ago, like when the FPL page crashed 10 minutes before the deadline, stuff like that. We haven't had this so far this season, but my advice is actually to like make your transfers at least 30 minutes before each deadline, because I'm not really trusting, as mentioned, the FPL app or the FPL site this season. So Samip, he's having problems with his wildcard and getting error messages when trying to make transfers. So if anyone in the chat has any ideas to how to fix this, that would be helpful. Trying the website instead of the app often resolves errors. Yeah, I think this is a good idea if you have the option to just log on to a browser. This is what I usually do as well. So if the app is bugging, I try to use my computer. And if the computer is, if it's something wrong with the FPL site, it's usually working on my phone, luckily. So as mentioned, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. That would be really, really appreciated. And if you find the time and if you have any more questions, please join the Q&A on Friday as well. It will be around the same time on Friday, same time as tonight. So if you're interested, go join that stream as well. And we'll have a deadline stream on Saturday as well. So what's your current rank, by the way? Did you have some good weeks? I actually had a terrible start. Only got like 28 points, if I recall, in game week 1. Let's have a quick look before I have to go. Terrible start. My rank at the moment is 8 million. So a terrible start, not the best game week 2 either, 40 points. So 28 points game week 1, game week rank was 9.3 million. So a terrible start this season. So I really need to continue picking up green arrows. So 28 points, horrible start. Okay, game week 2. Let's have a look. Game week 2, 40 points. Small green arrow, game week rank 8.4. That's of course not great, but considering that I had a terrible start, this was actually a green arrow. And in game week 2, 52 points. Bit better, game week rank 3.8, and altogether this is 8 million rank. So not a good start, but hopefully I can as mentioned, get some more green arrows going forward. Looking forward to the deadline stream. I'm at 96. Thanks, that would be great. 28 points, and it looked like a good team on paper. Yeah, this is the problem. I think that the team looked really good. Of course, spent a lot of time selecting my team. So I had Cells in goal, Van Dijk, Diouf with a good fixture in game week 1 as well. Van de Ven was actually the only player that gave me a return in game week 1. I had Saka, Marmoush was kind of a punt. Marmoush was actually kind of a punt, but he's done better in game week 2 and game week 3. I had actually thought I had this up on the screen. Let's go back to my game week 1 team. I kind of agree. A lot of those players were like reliable FPL options, but they just let me down in game week 1. So Cells in goal, Van Dijk in defense, Diouf with a good fixture in game week 1, Van de Ven, the only player that returned. I had Saka, I had Cole Palmer, but both of them blanked. Wirtz as well, really high expectations ahead of game week 1, but we all know that Wirtz blanked. And Jared Bowen, my punt for game week 1. Good fixture against Sunderland, but West Ham, they really disappointed. I watched that game, West Ham against Sunderland. It was a really frustrating watch, to be honest. So I had those other disappointing forwards as well. As actually started the season with Mateta, and I had Ollie Watkins as well. Mateta, he did well in game week 3, but Watkins, he has blanked in every game week. At this time, you can still like go up millions of ranks after one good week. So will come good. Hopefully, I know that if I get like a really good game week in game week 4, can potentially like half my rank. So just need a couple of really good game weeks, and I need my differentials to do well. So another thing when it comes to my team for game week 4 is like I really need Mo Salah to blank. If Mo Salah scores a brace or more against Burnley, I will potentially, it will be hard for me to pick up another green arrow, but your mini league is closed for new entries. Is this the head-to-head mini league or the classic league? I have 2 mini leagues. one classic and one head-to-head. So the head-to-head code is in the scrolling text at the bottom. I think that the classic mini league it's probably closed. I've never meant to close the head-to-head mini league. Let's have a quick look. Leagues and cups. So if the league is closed for new entries, this is probably one of the reasons why no one ever joins. So in my classic mini league, there are a lot of entries. I haven't really counted, to be honest. 200. I don't dare to go against the template Salah. I'm sorry. I think if I had Salah, he would potentially be my captain, but I'm really, really hoping that I can do well without him this game week, hoping that Haaland can do well. If he blanks, 70% of players blank. So yeah, it's definitely the safest option. FPL FOMO, if Salah or Haaland Hall, I'll be ranked 12 million when there's only 11.7 players. This is like, when it comes to, especially Salah, I haven't really checked Erling Haaland's ownership, but I think the Haaland is probably a bit exaggerated. I haven't really checked his ownership recently, but Haaland, he will potentially be captained by a lot. So, but he's only selected by 32%. We've seen in other seasons that Haaland has been close to 90%, and of course, then he will cause a lot of damage. But 32% is like, you will survive if Haaland holds. I think the main problem, especially for game week 4, considering the fixture, that a Salah haul will potentially send you down to 12 million. I will probably be in those figures myself, to be honest, if we get a Salah hat-trick. But I was trying to figure out if I closed my league for entries, and if it's possible to open the league for entries. So invitational head-to-head league. I don't really have many options. I can only league administration, league details. So my only option when I go, that's a bit weird. My only option is actually to change the name. Invite players, page not found. Weird. I'm currently 7.2. I'm actually 8.3, something like that. So by going without both Salah and Haaland, you actually are better off compared to me. It's like my game week 1 was a mess, to be honest. So last season I had a terrible start as well. Not really sure what's happening. Ever since I started making FPL videos, I haven't really done that great, to be honest. My rank last season was 500k. My best rank is 157. I have 7 times ended inside top 35k. So I have done reasonably well. But the last couple of seasons have not been great seasons for me. Starting with triple Villa and Forest killed my start. I also went for at least a double up. I had Watkins, Kansa for his red card in game week 1. That's not the best start. So game week 1 actually started quite well for me. I had Van Dijk. It looked like he would get a clean sheet. He got the defensive contribution points in the first game. Looked like Salah would blank in game week 1, so happy days, but in extra time, Mo Salah scored, and the rest of that game week is history. YouTube is a curse. I think so, because ever since starting making videos, I haven't, as mentioned, haven't really done that great, but hopefully this, at least for me, hopefully this will be like a story of how to get from 9 million to top 50k. Of course, it's easier to get attention over at X and on YouTube as well if your team is doing, if you have a good rank, of course, but it's really not that important, to be honest. I really enjoy having those streams and posting on X as well, making the weekly videos. The thing is that before making my first FPL video, I haven't really made any videos at all, so I had to start from scratch. So my first videos are, when I watch back, I think they are, let's say, not that great. I know I still have a lot to learn when it comes to editing and making graphics and stuff like that, so still a lot to learn. But I think that at least the quality is better compared to last season, so. When it comes to YouTube, one of the most frequent advices I've read is that you just have to improve like 1% for every video or every stream. I don't know if any YouTuber is doing well this season. I haven't really checked on those bigger accounts. I know that FPL Harry is usually doing well. Haven't really checked his rank this season. Let's talk FPL Andy. He is usually kind of template, so he's usually going for safe options, so I can't really see him being 8 million rank, to be honest, but probably something like 1-2 million rank at this point. He probably captained Mo Salah, I'd say, in game week 3. I think most did. FPL FOMO. FPL Harry is about 3.5 million. Probably captain Mo Salah in game week 3, so. But we only had 3 game weeks, so someone mentioned this in the comments a couple of minutes ago. If you have 1 or 2 really good game weeks, even though you're ranked like 7-8 million, you can break into top 1 million with a couple of good game weeks. It's not like it's 200 points gap. Andy is about 5 million, so 3.55. So let's have a last look at this one. So this is the team that will give me another green arrow, hopefully. Thanks. Really, really appreciate it. As mentioned, hopefully this will bring another green arrow. I'm kind of disappointed because I wildcarded in game week 3. Already have 3 yellow flags. Rodon is fine, he can stay on the bench, but I have Cunha. My plan was actually to play Cunha and bench Chris Wood. Sar, he will definitely be sold ahead of game week 3. I will decide on my replacement on the Friday Q&A, most probably, or the deadline stream if I haven't yet decided. At the moment, my midfield watch lists for a replacement, I think that the safest option is probably Semenyo. I can go for an Everton midfielder like NGI or Grealish, but I don't like the fixtures. I'm actually also considering to bring Wirtz back in to cover the Liverpool attack for their victory against Burnley. So those are the players I'm considering. Jake, hi mate, could you let me know if this team is any good, please? Donnarumma, Cucurella, Munoz, Senesi, Guehi, Salah, Grealish, Savi, I guess that's Savi Simmons from Spurs, King, Ekitiki, and Pedro. I have Reinders and Alexander Isak on the bench. Interesting. A lot of interesting picks in this team, Jake. Donnarumma, I think that he will probably start. Would be surprised if he's not brought in to be the number 1. So a decent option, but I would have a starting goalkeeper on my bench as well. Cucurella is a really good option. Munoz, I really like Munoz. Wish I had him in my team. In every wildcard and free hit video I made this game week, I have Munoz in. So Senesi is a really good option as well. Only priced at 4.5, and he has proven to be a defensive contribution magnet. Guehi, of course, a good option. Going for at the back with this team makes sense. I would start Guehi as well, considering that Crystal Palace. bit ahead of the curve having Alexander Isak in. I would do the same. I would bench him this game week and potentially start him in game week 5. So really strong team. Sandre, no mic. I know I have a problem with my microphone. Really need to fix it. Turn your microphone back on. Is it fixed? Hopefully the sound is back on. I mentioned this a couple of times already. I have this problem with my microphone. Not really sure what's wrong. Every stream I'm telling the same thing. I'm going to fix it, but I think it's been 3 weeks. Now I really need to fix it. Can you have a look on my mini league? Abyssnet Superiori. Abyssnet Superiori. Can you have a look on my mini league? Sure. Just need to figure out how. Leagues and caps. Abyssnet. I think I probably need to join the league, or I need a league ID, something like this. ID 11 30 26. That's the 11 30 26. Remember those numbers, to be honest. We had a quick look at your team earlier on this stream. 30 26. Sandre, let's get your team back on and let's have a look at that league. The champions. Abyssnet Superiori Cup. This cup is scheduled to start in game week 36. View league standings. I'm afraid, if this is your own mini league, I'm afraid you're at the bottom at the moment. Really close. 5th and 4th, they are joint with 147 points. Arsenal FC, Lucas. I think this is probably your work league or your friends, something like that. Friends League, yeah. Close race. Hopefully you'll be in a better position after game week 4. ATL's AM, other option, captain, no Salah nor Holland. So other captain options for game week 4, I actually made a video about my captain selection, so if you're interested, go check that one. It's on my YouTube page, game week 4 team selection. My inclusion is Joe Pedro. I have Elanga in there as well. Probably if you have Gyökeres, he's a decent option considering that he is on penalties for Arsenal at the moment. Other Liverpool players can potentially be captained. I think Ekitike and Gakpo, if you own them, I think they are decent captain alternatives this game week. Joe Pedro against Brentford as well. As mentioned, Newcastle, really good fixture for Newcastle against Wolves. So I actually think Elanga is a decent option. Fulham, I wouldn't necessarily captain any Fulham players. Aston Villa, Crystal Palace. We've seen FPL FOMO considering the captaincy on Munoz. I like that punt, to be honest. Bournemouth, Brighton. Semenyo is in really good form. I think Evan Nilsson, 2.5% owned, nailed on to start and on penalties. With Kluivert out. If you own Evan Nilsson, one of the 2.5%, he is probably an option as well. Only Arsenal FC is a decent FPL player while the others play for the first time. Don't know a lot. You will probably catch those guys, to be honest. So if they haven't really played FPL that much, they have probably played their bench boosts already, potentially other chips as well. So my battery is running. Minutes ago that I had to go. My battery is running low, but if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. I will have another Q&A Friday night. I usually have this ahead of every game week, Friday night Q&A. So if you're interested, join that one as well. That would be really appreciated. If you find the time, please go watch my team selection video to get that watch time up a bit. That would be really helpful. Let's have a quick look at the captain poll before leaving. So Salah, he is a clear winner this game week. 61% for Salah, 24% Erling Haaland, and 15% for others. Sandre, one of them have played triple captain on Cole Palmer, vice on Watkins, and Wildcard. The other one triple captain Haaland and did a -16. Yeah, this is what we usually see with new players that haven't really that much experience. They tend to use a lot of chips early on, get a good start, but around game week 6 to game week 10, they often get a decrease in rank and some of them just quit, or at least they get caught by the more experienced managers. So hopefully you'll be top of your mini league really soon. But as mentioned, my computer is running out of battery, so hopefully you enjoyed this stream and hopefully I'll see you on Friday. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks for sending your teams over at X.